So there's a trend I wasn't too happy about that started around the time of the end of the Xbox 360 and the PS3 era and the start of the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One era. And that was the absence of manuals in physical games. I mean, we're heading towards the digital age that it's coming up pretty quick now, but it was still a shame to see that happen. Like, for example, this is Skies of Arcadia, Legends on the GameCube, and you pop it open and there's a very nice manual inside with the game. It was something I always looked forward to have that. And unfortunately now, even with Nintendo and the Switch, they've basically eliminated all manuals from that unless you get certain releases from smaller publishers that decide to include it for, I guess, nostalgia and old people like me. But what if there was a way you could actually add manuals to your current Switch titles, especially the first-party Nintendo ones? Well, I actually found some online, ordered them, and I thought we'd take a look at them here today. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, make sure the like button down below helps out a ton. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe down below. So we're gonna take a look at 4 different manuals that I ordered for a couple of Switch games right after a word from our sponsor today, Manji.
Today's video is sponsored by the Command Shell from Manji. This case protects your Switch all the way around while still giving the freedom of removing your Joy-Con controllers on the fly. In fact, the added thickness of the casing on the Joy-Cons make holding them in single Joy-Con play more comfortable. I also like the straps on the back of each Joy-Con so that when you're laying down, holding onto the Switch is actually a lot easier. With the extra large kickstand on the back, dropping the Switch into tabletop mode is very easy, and with the 90-degree cable, you can charge while playing. I also went ahead and did a quick drop test with the Manji case around my personal Switch, as you can see here. The case surrounds the Switch very well and is really tough, but you don't take my word for it. I did do a bunch of takes just to get that one right. Good thing, too, because I still have to finish up Age of Calamity. For Black Friday, Manji is running a deal where you will receive 10% off all orders above $40. So head on over to their website at the link in the description below. Once again, thanks to Manji for sponsoring the video.
So I have 4 different manuals here, and I have 2 different cases. Now, I ordered these off of Etsy, and the person I ordered them from has no idea I ordered them, nothing like that. But I was so interested in the idea of having these and almost completing the look of these games that I had to pick up some of them. And once I posted it on Twitter, people were very curious as to how they looked and did they fit in the case. There were a lot of questions about them, so I figured, hey, when I get a chance, we'll do a video like this one here. The store on Etsy is called MB Puck. And they managed to get these out to me despite being in the UK in about a week and a half or so. But from what I can tell, they've had quite a bit of business coming through now after these started showing up online. So I'm not really sure what their shipping time is now. However, I decided to order the basics, right? We have Zelda Link's Awakening, Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, and then Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I really wanted this one because this is a limited release, so I figure, hey, we'll get the manual, we'll complete the look, and it'll be really cool. But what I originally thought was that these were gonna be, I guess, low-effort manuals. They're gonna be very basic, right? Maybe like 2 or 3 pages, and it's just something you slip in here. These right now, I think, were about 16, and they might be running a discount now of like 20% or something. But what I was happy to see is that there is a lot of effort that appears to have gone into these manuals. Let's take a look at a few here. This is the Super Mario 3D All-Stars one with the different controller emblems down here, the logos of the GameCube, the Wii, and the Nintendo 64 controller. And then you open it, they have like a table of contents. They have so much. Look, they have the soundtracks here. And for how bare bones this is technically as a collection, I have to give them credit. They made a fairly large manual, and this one goes over all of the different games and different things you can do, continuous jump, triple jumps, wall kicks. They have all the different moves, and they used the correct buttons. So they use the buttons for the Switch and the Joy-Cons. They have some tricks and some tips in here, and even kind of check boxes. Remember those in some of the different manuals you'd get, where you'd go through and you'd physically check them off. It looks like you have little squares here that you kind of fill in as you get them. And then we move over to Sunshine with the nice art here. And once again, controls all the way around. It was just cool to have manuals so that you could kind of have a way to just kind of look to the side, or as I would do once I bought the game, I'd kind of read it while I was heading home in the car with my parents. Now, the way they seem to have put it together, they basically just printed them all off on some fairly nice matte finish paper. This is more like photo paper, but it looks pretty good quality-wise. 2 big staples in the middle here, folded over really well. And for people who are asking, yep, it fits right in there. This is a thicker manual of the ones that I grabbed, probably because it has to go over so many different games and all the different kind of things they have in here for checking off the different stars that you're getting, but it closes right up, adds a little bit of extra weight to the casing, but no problem there. And like I said, it really completes the look. Now, I did grab the little Breath of the Wild manual off of there, at least what I thought was a manual at the time, but this is the mini companion, as it says on the front. And as I'm going through it, I'm very quickly realizing that it really is just a bunch of, I guess it's just almost a mini strategy guide, something you can mark off as you do things with like the main quest, the different towers, all of the Korok seeds here, and there are a lot of them, so you can kind of go through and check them off based on different areas. And I was really looking for a manual, so I'll have to double check on the website to see if maybe I ordered the wrong thing or this is just what they went with for it. But once again, something pretty helpful. However, it's basically a little mini strategy guide that you write in. Although I do think the minimalistic look of the front here works really well, and yep, fits right in the case. The other two I have is the Super Mario Odyssey. This one's an instruction booklet, and then we have the Link's Awakening instruction booklet right here. This one's a little thicker. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, Mario Odyssey is not very large. But if we take a look at Link's Awakening, there's some of the nice artwork there, table of contents, and quite a bit of stuff on here when it comes to things like your whirling blade technique, jumping with Rock's Feather, defend. So this is more of an overall instruction booklet, several different items that you can pick up. And as we get further in, it does kind of have different spots where you can take notes. Remember those? Where you had kind of the spaces you would write in. And if you rented a game and the manual sometimes would come with it, you would have other people's notes in the back, which was kind of funny. Another thing that I always really liked about manuals is that they would generally have the different characters and they would have like the backstory and the bios for them for what they're doing in the game and what happened even before the events of the game at the time. And really, that's how we've had so much information come out for different pieces of lore, even in Zelda or Mario or other places. A lot of times there are kind of these bios and entries in different manuals that are officially from Nintendo that will give us a little more insight into the different characters. You can tell this is handmade as some of the pages aren't cut completely even. I mean, it's off of Etsy and I knew going into it this was handmade and it was more of a fan project, so I wasn't expecting perfect machine cuts or anything like that, and so it was absolutely the same across the board. Just, I guess, keep that one in mind if you decide to order some of these. It might be a bit different depending on how well things cut that day. And then finally, we have Mario Odyssey, which I will say is probably the most minimalistic one out of the bunch. After looking through this one, there's seemingly not as much time. I don't know if this was the first one they made or something, but this is very small. There's 12 pages and the last page is notes with like postcards there and then a blank spot there. So unfortunately not as much time put into this. I'm not even a huge fan of like how small some of these icons are, long jump, roll, and you can see just how small some of this text is. So I feel like this was probably the first one they did and then they improved on it, because if you look at how some of this is set up, even compared to something like we just looked at right here, Link's Awakening, I mean, you can see a massive difference in overall just how they formatted everything, put it all together, had, I think, just better presentation overall. So yeah, unfortunately the Mario Odyssey one, while it is cool to have it, it's not as good as the others. But you know what? I think these are pretty cool to have. You'll have to decide if they're worth picking up for you at about $15 to $16 each if they're not on sale. I would suggest the Mario 3D All-Stars one and the Link's Awakening one if you're thinking about picking a couple of them up, just because I think for the most part they are the most well done, especially the 3D All-Stars one. There was a lot to cover with this, right, with 3 different games, and it's a limited release for the 3D All-Stars collection. So if you did get a physical copy and you already opened it, I think that's a good way to kind of complete the collection there. But let me know what you guys think about fans kind of creating different manuals for old people like myself who remember the good old days of opening your game from the first party or the third party manufacturer with these different games and finding an actual manual inside. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.